I have the privilege and honor to be the chair and moderator of the 6th Inter-University Interface Debate organized by CCG, Center for Constitutional Governance, showing on WBS TV. Ladies and gentlemen, most welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, viewing us from wherever you'll be viewing us, we are in Kabale. Yes, we've been around Uganda. We were in Barara, we were in Lira, most recently, we did Mbale, and someone waited for us to come to Kabale after the road is done. And yes, we are in Kabale. Our motion for debate today is freedom of speech, expression, association, which way Uganda. Is that what all of us have? Super. Ladies and gentlemen, our first debater for the day, Albert Musinguzi from Bugema University.
I thank the Center for Constitutional Governance for organizing this such a platform. It is indeed what has brought us here, and this is what has kept us develop more hope in order to deliberate the issues pertaining our great country. Freedom of assembly, association, and expression, which were Uganda. It is true, as we talk right now, everybody has researched as the order of the day. Everybody has got the information, but I'm here to give my deliberation, my presentation, and at the same time emphasize on the areas of interest, making a few references and making an extract or the best summary of what they have compiled. Dear comrades, when we are talking about the freedom of assembly, association, and expression, which were Uganda, I'm seriously interested in the way forward. And I'm trusting that is the reason why I'm here, and I think I'm very much protected by the 1995 Constitution. And sometimes, I normally call it, the 1995 Constitution, I normally term it as a game of laws. A game of laws. Meaning, I might not be fully subscribing to what transpires in this Constitution. Provided that most of the articles that are in this Constitution, for example, I'm going to be emphasizing much on the Article 29, Article 29, Clause 1A, which expresses the freedoms, the freedom of association, expression, and assembly. However, every freedom, every right has got a limitation. Every freedom, every right has got a mechanism, has got an instrument, and for that matter, if we decide to talk about everything, indeed, the history might be too long. And therefore, I will talk about the issue of the assembly. For example, I'm so much privileged that as we talk right now, we are in an assembly. Even I would like to declare that where we are now, this is a great assembly, and this is an assembly. We have come for a common purpose. We are gathering for a purpose, and that is the definition of the word assembly. Dear comrades, I would also like to inform you, when we talk about association, because freedom means being at liberty. When we talk about association, we are talking about belongingness. If we have not the freedom, perhaps you are free to have education, free to have life, free to move, free to express, which I'm doing, because I want to agree with you that these freedoms of association, assembly, and expression, indeed they exist. And that is the reason why we are in an assembly, in this very hotel. That is the reason why I'm expressing myself before you. And this is the reason why we belong to the greater organization called CCG and under population. So I think really, when I go beyond this, I will be blowing my own trumpet. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm almost ready to summarize.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as you give your point of information, try and be very precise. We will take Makerere University and which one was this? Uganda Christian University, and then come back to the speaker.
I'll first begin with the Court of Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. He states, the most stringent protection of free speech would not guarantee someone going about shouting, fire, 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 when it can lead to accidents and death. Which leads me to my question. You've said it cannot be limited and we have to do it. Do we also have to guarantee terrorists, rapists, and fighters the freedom of expression? In this case, yet it's not an undeniable right and
Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I had not even talked about the Police Act, the Public Order Management Act that was passed in 2011. We have not talked about the Press and the Media Act, the Journalists Act, the Human Rights Act. All these are acts in place. And indeed, a country that has no order, or a society that has no order, is a country or a state that is in anarchy. So, as long as we talk about freedoms and rights, we must make sure there is order. Where there is no order, there is anarchy. I think I have solved most of the problems. And therefore, as I move, I would like to inform you that as we enjoy these rights, it is compulsory to have limitations. For example, you have a right to die, but you don't have a right to resurrect. For example, you have a right to be in public, but you might not have a right to gas in the public. That one is very clear. You have a right to go to get education, but you might not have a right, actually, to access everything. You must really put in a way forward to see that you access.
Information, Kabale, Uganda Pentecostal University, and Gulu.
Thank you so much. Quoting you verbatim, you said that every freedom has a limitation. So please, can you cite out the limitations in respect to freedom of association, expression, speech, and assembly? Thank you so much.
Thank you. According to the definition of rights, we all know that they are natural entitlements one is supposed to enjoy with no limit. And your rights are none subjected to anyone's. None is allowed to be entitled to your rights. Now, how comes that to that you have to first seek permission? Thank you.
What is the meaning of freedom? Your definition of freedom, if it has to be restricted by the Public Order Management Act, then what is your real definition of freedom? Then I would like to ask you, how many times has journalists been battered and manhandled because of publishing some information? And how many times has opposition been suppressed due to their expression speeches? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, dear comrades. That's why we said every society should have order. And as far as you are enjoying these rights and freedoms, you are at liberty. Indeed, the state has set mechanisms. It has set limitations. But you also have an obligation to respect. You have an obligation to protect. You have an obligation to fulfill. You as a citizen and at the same time as the state. Because these rights are actually, they are entitlements that one has by the virtue of being a human being. However, the state, it is true that the state does not guarantee these rights and freedoms, but they can be guaranteed by the state. They are not granted, but they can be guaranteed by the state. So respect and protection at the same time fulfillment are very much important. Thank you so much. I know I've been betrayed by time, especially when you are in Kabale, the conditions are always not favorable. Thank you so much as I beg to come back for God and my country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. He gave us a lively beginning of the debate. And of course, there will be a lot of questions and there are going to be a lot of issues that are going to be raised along the way. And I know the floor is getting heated up. From Cavendish University, Johnson Adejumobi.
My name is Adejumobi Johnson Adekunle, representing Cavendish University. I'm going to be illuminating us with the topic freedom of speech, expression, association, which way forward Uganda. Because of our time, I'm going to be very fast and very particular. Now, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, December 10th, 1948, declared, and I quote in the preamble, that now, therefore, the General Assembly proclaims this Universal Declaration of human rights as a common standard for achievement for all people and for all nations. I'm quoting this declaration just to make us understand that this universal right is general, capturing all peoples and all nations. Article 1 of the same declaration says that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and in right. And to come to our own municipal law here in Uganda, we have Article 29 of the Constitution, 1995 Constitution, which provides for the protection of freedom of conscience, expression, movement, association, and the freedom of assembly. The big question in front of us this afternoon is, what is freedom? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, freedom is defined as the power or right to act, speak, think as one wants. You have that power and that right. Now I'm posing this question to the Honorable Ugandans and African students at large. Have Uganda granted us this power and this right? It's going to be prima facie as I continue to submit whether or not Uganda has granted us this right and this power. Now, the United Nations Portal on Human Rights called Uganda 5/7, 7 being very poor and 1 being excellent, which simply means there has not been freedom of speech and expression fundamentally in Uganda. And they stated in that portal that Uganda experienced difficulties in the enactment of international standard of human rights for its citizens. Now, the big issue is what has restricted this, because in our own constitution, chapter 4 and article 29 provides for this expression. So what's limiting it? And that's where I'm going to start from. It's one cancer that is called majoritarian legislation. Now, majoritarian legislation is where some cabal sit down together and then they make a very bad bill. They take it to the parliament and then you pass it. Beautiful names, but barbaric bills. Some of them have been mentioned by my brother here. The Public Order Management Act, the Police Act, Cap 303. These are beautiful bills by the name, but with barbaric content. Now, because of the time, I'm going to be telling you how we are going to move against this kind of bills. Now, we know for sure that we have precedents of law. We have seen where, in the case of Kaniham, in the case of please pardon me, I don't want to misquote the law. In the case of Andrew Mwenji versus another versus Attorney General 2010. Now, in this case, the law of sedition, section 40 of the Penal Code Act, Cap 120, was talking about sedition, and this man moved to the Constitutional Court, which is number one way out. We must make use of what we have, which is the Constitutional Court. These Constitutional Courts are what we are going to use to restrict the way they have restricted us, because our Constitution has become what I call a propaganda. It does not have its own strength anymore. In fact, the great Professor Kanihamba 2 days ago cried over the statutes of the Constitution, and now we have to use what we have, which is our own court, to come and correct, because Article 2, Clause 2 provides that the Constitution is supreme, and any other law that is inconsistent with the Constitution is therefore null and void. So we have to stand by this guard and fight like he fought. In one case, sedition is scrapped out of the Penal Code. Because of that, we have to continue
information. NTC Kabale. I don't remember introducing them. I'll start with NTC Kabale. I'll come to Chambogo University, then Mbara University, and Uganda Pentecostal University.
Yes, thank you very much. What I would like to inform you is that freedom is not free. So whereas you are enjoying freedom, you need to consider the expense you have got to incur in. Otherwise, you may collide with the way you practice of enjoying freedom. Thank you.
First, we're talking about barbaric legislation, and you've cited the Public Order Management Act, inclusive of the Police Act. I want you to cite OB sections in the Police Act and section in the Public Order and Management Act, which you feel they are unconstitutional and why.
Thank you. Chambogo.
I just want to ask you, this is a point of order. In Article 29 of the Constitution of Uganda, you know that the government, it says about the rights, the freedom of expression and speech. And again, if you go to Public Management Bill is it in Act 40 there? It says that a person should not organize like a gathering, whether 4 or 5, without the consultation of the police. Now my question is the government trying to bring the Constitution, or maybe the Constitution are going in line? Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel puzzled when I felt puzzled when you just quoted that the Ugandan Constitution is kind of, it has actually become irrelevant, whereby you quoted about its weaknesses and Justice Kanyihamba's story. But I want to inform you that the same Constitution you have deemed irrelevant. It's the same constitution you're quoting in Article 29, clause 1. If a person does not respect the constitution, that does not make the constitution irrelevant. And the case is, we also have amendments. If a constitution is becoming weak, amendments can be made. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be very brief. Firstly, on the question, thank you very much, my brother, that asked that freedom is not free. If freedom is not free, you won't call it freedom. So it's free, that's why it's called freedom. I think that should be helpful. Because of time, I won't go deeper. Now, the other brother who asked if I could quote any section from the Public Order Management Act or the Police Act, I won't paraphrase because I don't have the laws here, but I know for sure section 120 in the Police Act, with that I'm going to paraphrase, you understand, because I don't have the laws here, but 120 can be noted and checked, which provides that you cannot gather in any public gathering. You cannot demonstrate in any public demonstration. And Article 2 and Article 29, clause 1, clause E, which provides that demonstration is constitutional. That's the reason why I'm saying those laws are barbaric. And now to my brother who was asking about the irrelevancy. No, don't get me wrong, please. What I'm saying is that these laws, these other legislative laws, that's why I called it majoritarian legislation, they have come to kill the Constitution. And I actually wrote down here that the Constitution has become, to me, I see the Constitution that it has become an affair that you can go and sit down in Chankwanzi, you make a law in Chankwanzi, you bring it to the Chankwanzi in Kampala, you make another law, and then it becomes dead. That's the reason why I said I'm not saying it is irrelevant.
Thank you. I'll take two more.
As I were inquisitively following what you are saying, as you quoted the Constitution Article 29, you said that these freedoms are really observed in Uganda at first. But the thing is, I observe freedom and rights in the following spheres: economical, social, religious, political. Now the thing is, economical, it has been observed because we are always read the national budget. Social, people go for burials and the parties without first taking permission. For religious, people have always voted for marriage words. Then for the political, is where we have to, is it really granted? On this platform, nothing has been observed at all. Thank you.
Finally,
when we go back to the preamble of our legislative constitution, the first line says, recalling our history which has been characterized by political and constitutional sensitivity. What is the status of the rights, freedom of expression today and the way forward? I would like that's what I would like. Is there freedom of speech? And if it's there, yes, is there freedom of speech?
thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because of time, I'm going to respond to my brother who actually pointed out economic, political, and all that. Now, I'm going to tell you this. It is the rights that are fundamental, not the limitations. You must always put this at the back of your mind, that when it comes to rights, human rights, it is the rights that are fundamental. We have a recent case, Makerere students coming to demonstrate about their issue. You could tag that also under social. Now, they don't have a lot of money to pay for tuition and you are increasing it. The government has refused to create jobs and you are increasing their tuition. No, demonstrating and you are shooting at them even with live bullets. Now, that is cutting across all that you have listed. Do you understand? So, you cannot remove the fundamentals from the rights itself. Now, my other brother who spoke, actually I'm a Nigerian, I'm not a Ugandan. I've been here since 2013, and I have studied the background of the Ugandan law. Now, I can tell you categorically with my biography and my knowledge of political science, I studied that before studying law. I'm going to tell you that the statutes presently is in the surface, the water is calm. But underneath the water, there is trouble for the generation. And I am putting it to you right now, my fellow brothers, that there is no freedom of speech, because until it is 100%, it is not freedom. Thank you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we introduce our third panelist for the day from Bara University of Science and Technology, Samuel Nono.
My dear judges, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight is such an interesting night because, first and foremost, the house has gotten hot. And for me, that is interesting as a debate. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about your freedom and mine of speech, assembly, and association. I don't know if you know what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, but let me bring this straight on. What is freedom of speech? Freedom of speech, ladies and gentlemen, is you being able to air out your opinion, your view, your ideas without any form of reproach. Let me put it as simply as that. And that counts as well for the freedom of assembly and association. You have the right to such a gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, a right is not a privilege, it is an entitlement. You are not privileged to be here. You are entitled to be here. But I must say, this is not free. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not free. Because I can tell you that CCG had to consult the RDC, the DPC. They are informed. They should have been here in the morning session to ascertain and confirm our presence here. It is not free, ladies and gentlemen. I want to be straight on. You see, if I stand here and begin to speak, the question is, are you respecting my views? Am I free to speak? Oh yes, before you I'm free to speak. If I were talking about the government, would I be free to speak? Oh no, I wouldn't be. Because ladies and gentlemen, on the 26th, I must quote, on the 26th of April in 2010, a very prominent government official, yes, a very prominent government official, the press secretary to the president, warns a radio station because it hosted an opposition leader at a radio station. How free is our freedom of speech, ladies and gentlemen? If you're going to be at a radio station, you're going to be as a journalist covering up an event that is against this great nation, and you are going to be apprehended for that? No, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have freedom of speech. No, we don't. I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, it is an entitlement. It is not a privilege. You must stand your ground and say, no, this is a right. The Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, and I quote, I want to read this very plainly, as simple as it comes. You might have seen my colleagues with a different copy of the Constitution. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a summarized version, okay? And the government is doing its part, and that's why I'm going to tell you about my ways forward. The Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Article 29, states, every person has a right to, clause A, freedom of assembly and